my wife, and her curated circle mocked me as not her caliber. I vanished, and she swallowed a bitter dose of reality. My name is Felix. I am 38 years old. The official paper ending my 6-year marriage to Hannah, my 35-year-old ex-wife, is now framed. It is not a trophy, but a strong reminder, a path I am thankful to have left behind. Why did our marriage fall apart? You could call it pride, the kind that makes a man refuse to be slowly worn down, to become just a small note in someone else's carefully planned, often fake story. She even helped her special group of best friends. They called themselves the curators, meaning they decided what was good, what was successful, what was worthy. They put me down, and they did it openly, with subtle sighs or blunt, rude advice, all to make it seem like I was out of her league, charming but a bit rough, not quite her level. And the worst part, Hannah, my wife, the woman I promised my life to, seemed to enjoy their rude approval. Her laughter was too quick to join theirs, her nods too eager when they picked apart my supposed flaws. Now, of course, I hear the whispers, from old friends, from distant family. They say I lost it, that I was too strict, that I could not understand sophisticated jokes, that I ruined our life over some social games. But to them, maybe it was just that, a game of appearances. To me, self-respect is not a game. It is everything, the very bedrock upon which everything else is built. To compromisate would be to compromise my soul. To explain more, a bit about my past, I grew up in a simple but loving home in Central Texas with 2 older brothers. My father was a master at making guitars, a true craftsman. His workshop, smelling of wood and varnish, was a place of deep focus, a sanctuary where raw materials transformed into instruments of exquisite sound and beauty. He put his heart into making beautiful guitars, sought after by musicians for their amazing sound, not just their appearance. He taught us, more by showing than telling, that real and lasting value comes from skill, from hard work, and from honesty in what you do and how you act. Showy appearances, borrowed status, and quick approval from others, those were just passing illusions. They were as fleeting as dust floating in the afternoon sun. He would often say, his calloused hands tracing the smooth curve of a guitar body, "Felix, the wood does not care about your fancy clothes. It cares about your honest touch, your dedication. And so should you." I remember a bad incident in high school. Some rich kids tried to humiliate me, mocking my ordinary background, and mocking my father's manual labor. Their taunts stung, piercing the youthful armor I thought I possessed. I came home upset, tears of frustration blurring my vision. My dad did not preach anger or revenge. He just sat me down at his workbench, the scent of cedar and rosewood filling the air, and gave me a half-finished guitar, still rough around the edges. "Felix," he said, his voice calm and steady, "this is real. This is honest work. You show your worth by what you build, by the substance you bring to the world, not by labels or the shallow opinions of others. And never let anyone make you feel small for being genuine, for valuing what truly matters." That lesson became a core part of me, a quiet and unshakable truth etched deep into my psyche. It was a shield against the superficial, a compass guiding me toward authenticity. My path was not easy. I did not have family money or powerful connections. Every step was earned. I worked hard through a tough computer science program at the University of Texas. To pay for it, I worked grueling night shifts as an emergency medical technician. Those nights were a brutal, unfiltered education. Dealing with life or death situations, seeing people at their most vulnerable, their most desperate, stripped away all pretense. It gave me strength. It gave me a clear view of what a real crisis was, and an appreciation for the raw, unvarnished truth of human existence. It taught me humility and resilience, reinforcing my father's lessons about substance over surface. After graduating with honors, I turned down big offers from greedy technology companies, the kind that promised fast money and fleeting prestige. My gut rebelled against their hollow promises. Instead, I joined Teralytica, a company that believed artificial intelligence could help the environment. I believed in its mission. It matched my father's idea of creating lasting value, of building something real, something that genuinely improved the world. For over 10 years, I worked hard, not for recognition, but for the satisfaction of the work itself. Eventually, I became the lead architect for environmental modeling. My team built systems that helped reforest areas, saved water, and fought climate change. My reputation came from good work, not from flashy self-promotion, and not from cultivating a curated image. My brothers earned their respect too. David became a tough, unyielding Texas Ranger, embodying justice and true grit. Mark became a well-known architect, designing innovative, eco-friendly buildings, merging beauty with sustainability. We all believed in substance over style, impact over image, and integrity above all else. That shared belief was a silent bond between us, a testament to our upbringing. This is why Hannah's behavior, her silent or sometimes open support of her friend's mean snobbery, was such a deep and painful betrayal. It was not just a personal insult. It was a dismissal of everything I stood for, everything I worked for, and everything my family taught me. It was a sneering rejection of values she once claimed to admire, a repudiation of the very foundation of our life together. It felt like she was spitting on my father's hands, on the honest work that defined my lineage. I met Hannah at an art gallery. She was beautiful, smart, and seemed to like my simple, honest nature. I remember thinking she saw through the superficiality that so often defined the social circles we moved in, or at least the ones she aspired to. She seemed to appreciate my directness, my lack of pretense. 6 months later, I proposed. The ring was simple but special, a family heirloom, a quiet promise of a future built on shared values. She said yes, her eyes bright, brimming with what I mistook for genuine affection and excitement for a life with me. The first year, maybe 18 months, of our marriage felt truly golden. We bought a charming old house, a bungalow with good bones, and poured our savings and effort into making it our own. We spent weekends stripping old wallpaper, restoring original wood floors, painting walls together. We laughed, covered in dust and paint. Our life felt real. It was tangible, built by our hands, much like my father's guitars. We traveled to beautiful, wild places, national parks, rugged coastlines, seeking out nature, simplicity, and adventure, not luxury resorts. We even started planning to have a family, discussing names for our future children, dreaming of tiny hiking boots and shared quiet moments. A vision of a future rooted in authenticity. This period was pure, unadulterated joy. A true partnership. Then, things slowly changed. Subtly at first, like a barely perceptible shift in the wind. The change accelerated, especially when I was fully exposed to the curators, Isabel, Maya, and Olivia. They were not just friends. They were an ecosystem of carefully constructed facades and competitive consumption. From our first meeting, I felt their cold, judging eyes assessing me, weighing my worth against their unspoken, superficial metrics. They were always dressed perfectly, their voices dripping with affected sophistication, talking about minor celebrities, bragging about their husbands' nebulous fortunes, and sharing stories of their effortlessly fabulous lives. Lives that seem to exist solely for social media consumption. So Felix, Isabelle en spourde, her tone dripping with saccharine condescension, barely hiding her rude dismissal. Hannah tells us you work with computers? Something about saving the planet. She said it as if my life's work, my decade of dedicated effort, was a cute, slightly embarrassing hobby, like collecting stamps or knitting cozy sweaters. Her gaze flicked over my simple, comfortable clothes. It lingered for a fraction too long. A silent judgment. I lead predictive ecological modeling at Terralytica. I replied calmly, my voice even, refusing to rise to her bait. We use artificial intelligence to help reduce environmental impact globally, from reforestation to water conservation strategies. I spoke with the quiet passion I felt for my work, hoping to convey its significance. Oh, how noble! She dragged out the word, as if it tasted bad. A bitter pill she was forced to swallow. She exchanged a knowing glance with Maya, whose partner was a fake lifestyle influencer, a man who specialized in selling an idealized, unattainable existence built on sponsorships and smoke. Maya giggled, a hollow, tinny sound. Olivia, whose latest boyfriend was a loud crypto enthusiast with a rented Lamborghini and an even larger ego, added with an exaggerated sigh, it must be so fulfilling, knowing you are making a difference, however small and unglamorous, so very worthy. Her words, meant to sound complimentary, felt like a verbal pat on the head, a dismissive gesture towards something she deemed beneath her. Hannah, next to me, would give a tight, awkward smile, quickly looking away, avoiding my gaze. I searched her eyes for a hint of solidarity, a flicker of the partner I once knew, but found only discomfort and a desire to blend in. She never defended me, never corrected their rude assumptions, never affirmed our shared values, the very values she once claimed to admire. I felt like an embarrassing display she had to show to her fancier friends, a slightly rustic artifact she was forced to present. I was an uncomfortable truth in their world of endless fake appearances, a stark reminder of the real substance they so carefully avoided. Their digs were constant, like tiny paper cuts, designed to wear down my confidence, to chip away at my self-worth. They would interrupt me if I spoke about my work, quickly changing the topic to their latest luxury buys. A designer bag that cost more than my first car. A pricey detox retreat in the Himalayas. Or Olivia's boyfriend's latest, and likely temporary crypto win, which he spoke of with the air of a financial savant, rather than a lucky gambler. If I mentioned a breakthrough at Terralytica, something that could revolutionize water saving for millions, a genuine achievement that could impact lives, they would stare blankly. Then Isabel would jump in, bragging about her husband's latest million-dollar corporate takeover, making it sound like he was slaying dragons, not just ruining companies and lives in the name of profit. The contrast was always jarring, a painful reminder of our diverging paths. Once, at a fancy charity gala, a glittering spectacle of borrowed glamour and performative philanthropy, Olivia, sipping expensive champagne with a predatory glint in her eyes, leaned into Hannah. Her voice, though low, carried clearly enough for me to hear over the clinking of glasses. "Darling Hannah, he is sweet, utterly charming, but are you sure he has the killer instinct, the ambition, to truly keep up with you? This city, this world, chews up and spits out the merely nice." It was a direct challenge, a test of Hannah's allegiance. Hannah's reply, a light, dismissive laugh, a sound that pierced me far deeper than any of their direct insults. "Oh, Liv, do not be so delightfully wicked. He keeps me grounded." As if I were just a pretty paperweight, a rustic anchor stopping her from flying into their world of aspirations. Grounded felt like an insult, a way of saying I was too heavy, too real, too unglamorous for their ethereal, fabricated existence. The laughter, the casual dismissal, felt like a direct punch to the gut. When I confronted Hannah later at home, the quiet intimacy of our bungalow felt suddenly vast and cold. Her calm front would break, not into apology, but into blame, a defensive reflex I had come to dread. "Felix, you are paranoid. They adore you. That is just their European humor. You are too sensitive." Her voice would rise, the hint of irritation barely concealed. "Sophisticated humor, Hannah? Or plainte, nas te put downs?" I would counter, my frustration growing with each repeated denial. There is a difference. Their humor always comes at my expense. You are taking it too personally. It is just their way. Your world is so different, so niche, she would insist, her voice rising, a thinly veiled accusation that my life was somehow inferior, less complex, less worthy of their understanding. She made my principles sound like quirks. But I knew better. I saw the mean glint in their eyes, the satisfaction they derived from belittling. It was not curiosity. It was thinly veiled disgust, thinly veiled judgment. It was a competition, and I was the easy target. The worst part was Hannah's complicity, her inability, or unwillingness, to see the truth. I started avoiding their gatherings, using work deadlines, fake illness, or my powerlifting training as excuses. The physical effort of lifting heavy weights, the clear wins or losses, the undeniable truth of gravity and muscle, it was a welcome escape from their fake, manipulative world. In the gym, strength was earned, not conferred by connections. It was a clean, honest fight. Unlike the psychological warfare waged by the curators. But sometimes, they would invade our home for impromptu wine nights, their expensive heels clattering on our restored floors. Their voices, loud with alcohol and self-importance, echoing with fake laughter and hidden criticisms of our home, or life, our choices. They would helpfully suggest more expensive wine. À trendier designer. À fancier vacation. always pushing us toward their superficial standard. Our sanctuary began to feel tainted. The final, definite break came through their nasty Telegram group chat called The Curator's Confidential. Henna's laptop had broken, so she used my work tablet for a meeting and forgot to log out. Days later, I needed that tablet for an urgent presentation. As I fumbled to open my files, a barrage of Telegram notifications popped up on the screen, an endless scroll of insidious remarks. My name, or rather, a rude nickname they made up for me, Felix, the noble eco-warrior, flashed across the screen with alarming frequency. A cold dread hit me, an icy wave washing over my stomach. My heart began to pound a frantic rhythm. Against my better judgment, a morbid curiosity took hold. I opened it. The casual, thoughtless cruelty I scrolled through was shocking. A gut-wrenching confirmation of my worst fears. It was a complete, sustained attack on my character, on my values, on my very being. It was written by the women my wife called her closest friends. And what made it infinitely worse was Hannah's active participation. Isabel had typed, "So, anniversary dinner, dearest Hannah? Did Felix at least pay for that ridiculously expensive vegan menu? Or was it another one of his heartfelt, home-cooked lentil pies, served with serious talk about carbon footprints and the impending doom of humanity?" The sarcasm dripped from the screen, a venomous current. Henna's reply, with rolling eyes and shrug emojis, her complicity now laid bare. "Laugh out loud, Isabel, you are terrible. Laugh out loud." He actually surprised me with a rustic, and I do mean rustic, cabin near Big Bend for stargazing. Quite elemental. Bless his cotton socks. Bless him. Her words, meant to deflect, instead amplified their ridicule. Bless him was a patronizing dismissal, a clear signal that I was a sweet, naive burden, a quint attachement, rather than an equal partner. The word rustic, used with such emphasis, mocked the very natural beauty I cherished. It felt like a direct slap. Isabel shot back, quick and cruel. Rustic? Stargazing? My God, Hannah, are you living in a granola commercial? Arthur just bought that amazing ski chalet in Aspen. Spontaneous trip next month, first class, private chef. You must come, darling. If Felix can spare you from hugging trees or rescuing squirrels. Maya, always trying to one-up the others, added, "Seriously, my influencer boyfriend just got us a free week at a ridiculously fancy private villa in Tulum. For content creation, Felix really needs to step up his game, darling. Or at least get an Instagram-worthy hobby that does not involve spreadsheets or dirt." The sheer emptiness of their existence, built on performative wealth and manufactured desirability, was sickening. Hannah's response? Trying to sound playfully annoyed, but showing her full involvement. Her desire to remain within their circle, overriding any loyalty to me. "Girls, you are awful. But he is good in other ways. Very reliable. Like a well-maintained Volvo. And his little eco-company is actually getting buzz in green technology. Might be worth something big someday. One can always hope." Reliable as a Volvo. The phrase echoed in my mind. A cold, hard judgment. I was not a partner. Not a lover. Not a man she admired. I was a utility. A dépendable machine. Perhaps a future financial investment to cash in on. Olivia, always practical about social climbing, delivered the final, devastating blow. Reliable is for Volvos and accountants, sweetie. Not for husbands meant to boost your status. You need someone who can get you into real Miami parties. Exclusive galas. Not just the local organic market. Maybe it is time for a little upgrade in the romance department? Just a thought. The callousness, the blatant encouragement of infidelity, was breathtaking. Hannah's reply to this charming suggestion, devoid of any outrage or loyalty. Oh, Olivia, do not tempt me. The drama. But a girl can dream of a world where her husband gives her a Damien Hirst original, can she not? Or at least knows who Damien Hirst is. One day. My wife, dreaming of another man, of another life. A life where I was replaced by a symbol of disposable wealth and superficial art. The thought made me physically ill. My face went white, the blood draining from my cheeks. My stomach churned, a knot of icy dread coiling in my gut. My hands, usually steady from years of precise work, shook uncontrollably as I held the tablet. This was not just gossip. It was a constant, planned attack on my worth in her eyes. A casual, almost joyous destruction of my character. And she was not just watching. She was actively taking part. She was complicit, even an instigator. The words, not quite her level, now held a sickening new meaning. A calculated judgment from the very woman I had vowed to cherish. I saved the entire chat history. A damning record of her betrayal. A tangible monument to the collapse of trust. My father's words echoed clearly in my mind. Words about protecting one's integrity, about the true cost of compromise. They now rang like a chilling prophecy. I realized Hannah was not just tolerating them hurting my character. She was handing them the sandpaper. Sometimes even guiding their hands. Taking perverse pleasure in my slow, public diminishment. The quiet self-respect I had worked so hard to cultivate felt utterly shattered. When Hannah returned that evening, glowing and calm from an expensive yoga class, humming a pop tune, her world still perfectly curated and unaware, I was waiting in our living room. The tablet, showing their poisonous chat, lay on the coffee table like an unexploded bomb, its screen a silent testament to the wreckage within. The air in the room was thick with unspoken tension. Apalpable chill. "What is wrong, Felix?" she asked, her smile instantly fading at my cold, unreadable face. Her eyes, still shining with the afterglow of her yoga session, darted from my face to the tablet. A flicker of recognition. Then fear. Real fear. "You look like you have seen a ghost." "Worse," I said, my voice flat, devoid of any warmth, any emotion beyond a profound, aching emptiness. "I have seen the truth. You left your telegram open on my work tablet." Her face went from a healthy glow to stark white, then a splotchy, mottled purple as the realization hit her. Her eyes widened, a desperate, animalistic fear taking over. "Felix, I can explain." How much did you actually read?" Her voice was a desperate whisper, full of calculating fear rather than remorse. "Enough," I said, the single word loaded with my shattered beliefs, with years of accumulated frustration and fresh, agonizing hurt. Enough to understand my value in the curator's confidential. Enough to know where I truly stand with my wife. Enough to know the true meaning of reliable as a Volvo. Her defense was immediate, automatic. A frantic rush of accusations about privacy. a desperate attempt to shift blame, to make me the villain. How could you, Felix? That was private. My private conversation with my friends. You had no right to read that. That is a total betrayal of my trust. The sheer audacity. The complete lack of self-awareness. It infuriated me. My right? The wall of my controlled calm, meticulously built over hours of processing, finally broke. My voice, usually calm and measured, rose with years of hidden frustration, with the fresh, agonizing pain of betrayal. What about my right to some respect from my own wife? What about our vows? The promises to cherish and honor each other? Or are those just quaint? Rustic feelings too, Hannah? Easily thrown away when they are inconvenient for your social climb? For the approval of shallow, cruel women? My hand instinctively balled into a fist, a silent testament to the fury I wrestled with. It was just jokes, Felix. Stupid, meaningless jokes. Girl talk. It did not mean anything. You know how girls are, she cried, the tears streaming down her face now. A performance perfected over years, designed to elicit sympathy. But I saw past it. It meant everything, Hannah. My voice was now dangerously quiet. Every word, precise, weighted with finality. It meant you do not respect me. It meant you do not value what I do, who I am, what my family taught me. It meant you find me an object of ridicule for your friends. And most damningly, it meant you certainly do not defend me. You join the damn hyena pack, laughing along, even throwing out your own scraps for them to feast on. I stood up, the movement slow, deliberate, signaling an irreversible shift. The confrontation felt both unavoidable and completely unreal, as if I were observing myself from a great distance. I walked toward the tablet, tapped the screen to bring the chat back up, pointed to her specific messages. There. Your words. Your laughter. Your bless his cotton socks. Your reliable as a Volvo. This is not a joke, Hannah. This is a betrayal of trust, of love, of fundamental human decency. Then I gave her the choice. Clear. Final. Them or me. She had to block them. Cut all ties. Publicly and clearly. Right then. In front of me. There was no middle ground. No negotiation. She hesitated. That tiny, painful pause. That agonizing flicker of calculation in her eyes. A weighing of options. Of social standing versus a 6-year marriage. It said more than any words ever could. Her tears flowed more freely. But they felt like tears of self-pity, not remorse. Felix, they are my oldest friends. My support system. You are asking me to choose. That is not fair. It is cruel. I can talk to them. I will tell them to be more careful, to tone it down. Careful, Hannah? Not respectful? Not loyal? Not they were wrong, and I will not tolerate them speaking about my husband that way. Number. That is not enough. That is a compromise I cannot make. The choice is clear, and it is yours to make, right now. My voice was unwavering, my resolve hardening with each of her excuses. I cannot just abandon them, she whispered, her voice laced with self-pity that grated on my raw nerves, as if she were the victim. They need me. We have so much history. And I do not? The words hung in the air between us. heavy and final, echoing through the now silent room. Fine. You have made your choice. The quiet certainty in my voice seemed to shock her, more than any anger could have. You would end our marriage over this? Over some stupid, silly texts? You would throw away 6 years, everything we have built, our dreams, our future, over this? She shrieked, her composure finally shattering completely, revealing the raw desperation beneath. What about our plans? The in vitro fertilization? My doctor said I have early signs of premature ovarian insufficiency. My AMH levels are worryingly low. This might be my only real window, Felix. Our only chance. She threw the most devastating card she had onto the table. A last, desperate attempt to bind me. To exploit my deepest hope. The IVF news hit me like a physical blow. A sharp, searing pain through my chest. The dream of a child. The little hiking boots. The family we had envisioned. It was a dream I had cherished. A future I had deeply desired. For a moment, the world tilted. The resolve I had built threatened to crumble. But then, my father's words, the integrity he taught me, the substance of what I believed in, they anchored me. Could I bring a child into a home? Into a life where their father was openly ridiculed? Where the very foundation of respect was rotten? Could I subject a child to such an environment? To a mother who would prioritize superficial validation over the dignity of her husband? The thought repulsed me. My child deserved better. I deserved better. I've already contacted the fertility clinic this afternoon, I stated. The words tasting like ash, but delivered with firm resolve, each syllable a shard of glass. I have withdrawn my consent for any further procedures, or the use of any existing embryos. I will not, under any circumstances, bring a child into a marriage built on such a broken, deceitful foundation of respect, or into a life where their father is treated with such contempt. The decision, made in a cold, clear moment of absolute certainty, was agonizing, but it was righteous. It was the only ethical choice I could make. Her desperation became obvious, her arguments shifting wildly, from anger to pleading to frantic bargaining. She'd sign any legal document, give up all parental rights, or claim to financial support. The child could be hers alone. The child could be mine alone, if I just funded it. But I was firm. A child deserved far more than to be a pawn in a broken, bitter game, or a last-ditch solution to her ticking biological clock and falling social standing. A child deserved parents who respected each other, who modeled genuine values, not those built on a flimsy facade. I could not be a party to such a grotesque compromise. The aftermath was quick and precise. I moved out of our beautiful bungalow within a week, taking only my things, my father's old tools, my books, my chess set, the framed diploma, the silent witnesses to a life built on honest effort, and the ghost of what I thought our life had been. There was no shouting, no prolonged argument, just a quiet, systematic dismantling of a shared future. I buried myself deeper in my work at Terralytica, finding solace and purpose in the tangible impact of our projects. The mental challenges, the intricate problem-solving, and the real, positive impact of our systems on the environment were a profound comfort. It was a world of undeniable facts, of measurable progress, a stark contrast to the shifting sands of social games. Our work gained major international recognition. We secured big funding, allowing us to grow and take on more ambitious global projects. I also spent more time on my other, quieter passion, competitive chess. The strategic thinking, the need for foresight and calm calculation under pressure, the ruthless logic of the game, it soothed my bruised spirit. Each move was a choice. Each choice had consequences, and the board presented a clear, unambiguous reality. I started competing in tournaments, finding quiet satisfaction in the clean logic of the board, a clear contrast to the messy betrayals of people. I even started winning, not for trophies, but for the quiet satisfaction of mastering a complex system. Hannah, I heard through mutual acquaintances, tried to keep up her curated life, but the carefully applied shine began to fade, then crack, like cheap varnish over rotting wood. Isabel's rich lawyer husband was spectacularly charged with massive fraud. His illegal money was frozen, and their lavish life imploded overnight. Isabel, stripped of her status and wealth, retreated, reportedly living in a small, cramped apartment, owned by her long-suffering mother. Her curated world was reduced to a pathetic, lonely existence. Maya's influencer partner was cancelled after shocking online expose revealed his entire persona was fake. His luxury sponsorships? Fake. His travel photos? Photoshopped. And he exploited his overworked assistants, paying them a pittance. Olivia's crypto boyfriend, whose coin was a classic pump-and-dump scam, vanished one random Tuesday, leaving behind devastated investors, including Olivia, who had apparently invested her life savings, mistaking illusion for substance. The curators had, with grim irony, curated their own spectacular downfall. Their circle of admiration, of image and one-upmanship, shattered into bitter complaints, recriminations, and public humiliation. I felt no triumph, only a quiet confirmation of my father's timeless wisdom. Superficiality, built on borrowed status, always collapses. Then, about a year after the split, I met Dr. Sofia Rami. Teralytica hired her as a consultant to help us navigate the complex ethical rules around our advanced AI projects, a critical component as our technology grew more powerful. She was a brilliant expert, with a strong mind, an incisive intellect, and unshakable morals. Her ethics were as meticulously structured as her arguments, grounded in a deep understanding of human impact. She also had a truly charming, genuine laugh that could lighten any serious talk, a sound of pure joy and authenticity. We connected instantly over our shared passion for making a real positive difference in the world, our belief that technology could solve problems when guided by strong ethics, by a moral compass. She saw value in my work, in me, without fakery, without hidden agendas. She didn't curate her opinion, she simply saw. Our professional respect grew, naturally and unexpectedly, into something deeper, something profound. Sophia eventually joined Teralytica full-time, leading our new ethics and social impact division, ensuring our innovations always served humanity, not just profit. We weren't just colleagues, we were partners, building something meaningful, something lasting, something genuinely good together. Our bond was founded on shared purpose, respect, and mutual admiration, values that resonated with the very core of my being. Hannah, inevitably, found out. Perhaps through the grapevine of mutual acquaintances, or perhaps she simply followed my career path, drawn by a desperate hope. She appeared at Teralytica's new state-of-the-art office one afternoon, unannounced, looking diminished. That was the only word for it. The vibrant spark in her eyes, once so bright with ambition, was gone, replaced by a tired, hunted desperation. Her expensive clothes, once worn with careless arrogance, seemed to hang off her, as if the very confidence that animated them had simply evaporated. She somehow got past security and cornered me in my office just as I was finishing a critical meeting with my team. The contrast between my purposeful, impactful work and her sudden desperate appearance was stark. "Felix, I was wrong. So terribly wrong," she sobbed, the apology finally sounding real, stripped of her usual PR spin, devoid of artifice. Real, messy tears streamed down her face, staining her once perfect makeup. She confessed her deep insecurities, her crippling fear of being excluded by the curators, her desperate, pathetic need for their approval, validation that always felt just out of reach, always demanded more of her. "They're all gone now, Felix," she choked out, her voice ragged. "Their perfect lives. They all exploded. Isabel is an outcast. Maya's hiding from debts. Olivia's a joke. I have no one left. I lost everything, because I tried to be someone I wasn't." She then launched into a desperate, rambling plea, a last-ditch effort to reclaim something, anything, from the wreckage. "I know about Sophia. I've seen her around. She's very impressive. But Felix, we had history. 6 years. I can help you. My art world connections, my PR skills, some of them are still there. I can get Teralytica featured in Forbes, in Wired, on the cover of Fast Company. I can get you access to those elusive eco-conscious billionaire collectors, the big charity foundations. We could be a power couple, Felix, the kind they write about. Think of the synergy." The irony was almost too much, a bitter taste in my mouth. Even now, in her desperation, stripped bare of her social scaffolding, she still saw life, saw me, saw relationships, in terms of status, connections, and public image. She still hadn't understood. She still thought synergy and Forbes covers were the ultimate goals, rather than genuine impact and integrity. She was offering me the very superficiality I had fled. "Hannah," I said, my voice gentle but firm, filled with a profound sadness for the woman she had become, or perhaps had always been beneath the layers of performance. "Sophia isn't just a connection or a synergy. She's my partner in every meaningful way. She believes in what we do. She believes in me, not just in who we can impress or what doors we can open. She believes in the substance, not the show." The words hung in the air, a final, unassailable truth. Just then, as if on cue, Sophia entered my office, a file in her hand, her presence calm and capable, radiating quiet competence and integrity. "Felix, sorry to interrupt," she said, "but the final report on the Amazon Basin Water Reclamation AI is ready for your review before the UN presentation. It's truly groundbreaking." She paused, her eyes taking in the scene. "Oh, hello, Hannah," she added, her greeting polite, professional, completely without triumph or meanness, simply acknowledging Hannah's presence with a clear-eyed perception that missed nothing. Hannah stared at Sophia, at her quiet, natural confidence, her clear, intelligent eyes that held no judgment, only directness. She saw the easy, respectful bond that so obviously existed between Sophia and me, the genuine camaraderie, the shared purpose. The contrast between Sophia's real substance and her own carefully built, now crumbling facade must have been stark and unbearably painful. All the things Hannah pretended to be, Sophia simply was. I need a place to stay, Felix," Hannah whispered, her last defense, her last bit of pride, crumbling to dust. Her voice was thin. "Despérate. Just for a little while. My landlord sold the building. I got an eviction notice. I'm working a terrible customer service job for some awful fast fashion website just to make rent. I'm lost, Felix. I have nowhere to go." I felt a flicker of something, perhaps a ghost of pity, for the wreckage she had made of her life, for the woman who had lost her way, so completely, in the pursuit of external validation. But it was quickly overshadowed by a deep, cleansing sense of peace, of a chapter definitely, blessedly closed. There was no malice, no desire for revenge, just a profound, quiet detachment. "I'm sorry to hear that, Hannah." "I truly am," I said, my voice kind, but unwavering, a final boundary. "But that chapter of my life, or life together, is closed. You'll need to find another solution." I had rebuilt my foundations, and there was no room for the crumbling edifice of her past mistakes. The last I heard, relayed with a touch of sadness by a former mutual friend, Hannah was living with her aging parents in a small, unremarkable town, hours from the vibrant energy of Austin. The city lights and ambitious dreams, a distant, mocking memory. Her once glamorous social media presence was a desolate wasteland of sweet motivational quotes about resilience, empty phrases about finding yourself, and sad number Throwback Thursday posts to a life, a version of herself that no longer existed, perhaps never truly had. The carefully curated life had dissolved, leaving behind only oneindig void. Sometimes, building your best life, your most authentic life, requires the painful but necessary destruction of the old one, especially when its foundations are built on illusion and rotten with disrespect. My father was right. Your reputation, your self-respect, these are precious things, built with your own hands, your own choices, earned through honest effort and unwavering integrity. And now, with Sophia by my side, a woman of true substance and unwavering integrity, who sees me, truly sees me, not as a symbol, not as a utility, but as a whole person, I was building something solid, something lasting, something wonderfully, authentically real. And that, as my luthier father would have said, had the resonant, clear ring of true harmony.